Hello, welcome to Mornings at the Allotment. Today's video is all about what I'm sowing in February. So those of you who've seen my January video, you'll know that I got a calendar from my daughter for Christmas that has vegetable seeds in it. And for February, sorry, it's probably a bit loud with all the seeds falling around in there. For February, it's the sweet pepper. And it's called, let me just check the variety, it's called Rosso. So the seed packet is in the back, and it could be sown between February and April, and then it says what good neighbors are and where to grow it, ideally, how deep to plant it, and what temperature does it need. So that all that information is always on the calendar. And I really like this calendar, and I've already begged my daughter to get it for me again next year. Because I think it's kind of fun to have someone else decide what you're going to be growing. For those who don't know my garden, I'm in Mannheim in Germany, in the south. It's a wine growing climate, and our last frost date is officially the first week of May, but really most years, 95% of the time, it's somewhere mid to end of April. And we're about at growing zone 8B, so temperatures very, very rarely drop below -7 or -8 degrees Celsius. Last year was very odd. We had -13, but that happens like once every 50 to 100 years. So I go by 8B, and last frost date, end of April. So since we started off with the peppers, let me go into the rest of the peppers for you that I will be sowing, because January is hot peppers for me, hot chili peppers, and February is the mild chili peppers and the sweet peppers. So I will be sowing, doing a succession sowing of cayenne because they didn't germinate well. I sowed 5, I think, and got 1 in January, so I'm going to have to sow a couple more of these, and then my only mild chili pepper, which is the jalapeno. And for the sweet peppers, there are 5 varieties that I will definitely be growing. That's the Tequila Sunrise, Sweet Banana, Ferenc Tender, Feher. I refilled these because the packet was broken, and Pimientos de Padron. Those are the ones I will definitely be growing. And then I have a whole variety of mainly collected and traded seeds here, two that I bought. And I don't know yet. I think I'll be growing probably another 2 seeds of about half of these varieties. I don't know yet. We weren't very lucky with peppers last year, so I haven't quite decided, but I will definitely be growing a few more varieties. The last couple of years were about growing tons of varieties of tomatoes, but I also last year I tried growing lots of different varieties of peppers, and then the summer just wasn't warm enough and the spring wasn't warm enough, and most of them didn't grow at all. So I think that experiment trying to find our favorite pepper varieties, I will have to repeat that this year. So I'll be growing lots of these, just 1 or 2 seeds per plant though. That's the peppers. As you can tell, peppers are probably the main topic this month. I will also have to do a couple of succession sowings of other things I did last month, like the aubergines and the tomatillos and ground cherries, simply because last month I purposely sowed only half the seeds, and I just wanted the succession sowing so that no matter what the weather is like, I'll have plants that are ready to go in the ground. Yeah, so that. And another thing I have to admit, I was going to sow my broad beans aquadulce last month. I failed to do it, so I'll be doing that this month as well. All right, let me just check my list here. I don't think you're too interested in all the succession sowings I'll be doing. They're in here. And then the brassicas as well. I will definitely be doing succession sowings. As I explained in January's video, That was done on purpose. I never sow all my seeds at once, but I try to do sowings every 2 to 3 weeks. But in addition to all the succession sowings, like the red beets as well, I also have some new ones, and I had the turnips here with the beets because I grow them the same way. I multi-sow these, and then these will be sown this month to then go in the cold frame. So yeah, my first sowings for actually outside the greenhouse. And then what you're probably most interested in is what new things I'm growing apart from the peppers. One thing you really have to consider starting now or March at the latest is anything that has to do with either celery or celeriac, because they start out very, very tiny and they take a long time to establish. So for me, both let me see, celery and celeriac are seeds that I will definitely be sowing in February. And for celery, I'm growing Tall Utah. And celeriac, I have Monarch and Ibis. So I will definitely be growing quite a few of these because they're tiny, tiny seeds as well. And I had a hard time germinating them last year. And then many of them I ruined while I was pricking them out. So I'm going to be sowing extras of these, definitely. And I think March for us would probably be too late. I did them in February last year and that worked really, really well. And another one that I'm starting, but that could be started easily later in the year, I've just found that with our usually hot summers, it works better to do it now, is fennel, bulb fennel. I don't even know what variety this is, but I had these seeds left over. With bulb fennel, when it gets too hot in the summer, they bolt. So I start them early because we can have really very hot temperatures by the beginning of May. So that's why I start these early. Okay, what have I missed? I don't have the seeds here, but I will be doing some direct sowings of spinach this month in the beds that I will be planting later in the spring. So for anything that isn't frost hardy, the beds that are designated for that, I'm going to be putting spinach in that beforehand, basically as a cover crop, because I've already seen the first weeds sprouting, so I really need to do something to cover the ground. And radishes, but those are going on the balcony just next to me here in pots, just so we have a few early radishes. And then when I see that those are germinating nicely, then I'll be putting some in the garden as well. And another thing I told you in the January video, I'm starting to do a bit more in terms of flowers, even if they're not edible. So I will be sowing my sweet peas that I didn't get around to doing in January. You see, I'm pretty transparent about this here. And I'm also going to be adding some California poppy here. And I'm not a huge fan of most California poppy, but I really like this. They're called Rose Chiffon. And I really like the look of these. Yeah, so quite a bit going on again this month. But this is actually the last of the slow months, because by next month, when we'll get into the tomatoes, everything that I've sown in January and February will need pricking out and potting on. So it's going to be really busy then. I'm kind of glad that for my pepper experiment, I still have a quiet month in which I can sow those. All right, so I hope there was at least something interesting in this video for you. If you've watched this far, there probably was, and I'm happy about that. Drop a comment, let me know what you're growing. If you're in a similar climate, let me know if I've missed anything that I should be growing. If you're in a very different climate, I'd be very interested to hear about that as well. As I mentioned, my last frost date is at the end of April, and most seed packets will tell you either they're from your country or from your area, and then they'll tell you exactly when to sow, or in countries like the United States that are very big and encompass very many growing zones, very often they will tell you 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks before your last frost date. Here in Germany, they usually just specify the months. So if you know you're in a warm climate, you do it towards the beginning of the month specified. And if you know you're at an elevation and it's you have a later last frost date, you go towards the end of that of the month that they specify. So for example, for the California poppy here, they say German. It's a British seed company, but it's a growing packet that is printed for Germany. So basically, they specify February to March. And I know, since I have a very early last frost date, I know I go for February, and someone else who's at an elevation will grow it in March. And actually, if anyone in the UK happens to have the original seed packet, the British seed packet for California poppy rose chiffon or another variety, could you do me a favor and check the back to see what it says about when to sow? Because here it really doesn't say so many weeks before the last frost date. It really only has the months, and I'd be interested to see what it says in the UK. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this type of content, or let me know in the comments below what type of content you would like to see. We are finally moving into spring. Okay, we're finally moving out of winter, second half of winter, so days are getting longer, and we do get to see a bit of sunshine now and then, so my videos will be filled with more actual plants, green stuff, sunshine, and more actual time in the garden in future. But the next video I'll be putting out will be not on a Sunday, but on this coming Friday, February 11th, and I'd really love to see you there. That will be a special video for me and for my channel. If you can guess what it is, put that in the comments below. It'll just be a quick one, I think, but it'll be a special one. So I'd really love to see you there. And actually, if you hit the little bell icon, it'll remind you once the video pops up. So I'm glad you joined me today, even if it's another indoor video. And I hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.